Hello again, everyone. It is Gordon Majak here, back with you once again, and back with another episode from the spiritual journey out here on planet Earth on a Monday afternoon. Hope you all are well. Hope you had a wonderful Father's Day yesterday. I certainly did. And let's get right to the video today because I've got a lot I want to talk about in a short period of time. So let's get to it. You know, I talk a lot here on the channel about the importance of balancing the higher spiritual realms that we live in with these lower material earthly realms that we also occupy. That higher dimension, of course, is associated with the oneness and the perfection and the union of all that is. And then we have the lower dimension with the reality of duality is what I call it, and everything that goes along with the duality, the highs and the lows, the cause and effect, everything else that occupies our daily life. And what I've noticed in myself, I am able to find peace and joy in my meditation, when I'm walking in nature, when I'm interacting with animals, when I'm interacting with certain people. But I've also noticed that when I lose myself temporarily in the desires, specifically in the desires of the earthly plane, that's when my suffering begins. And what happened yesterday was I had a little realization of various frustrations and disappointments that I've been going through related to work and money, financial stuff, that kind of stuff. And as soon as I zeroed in on the fact that my suffering was rooted in my desires and not in the spiritual plane, of course, there is no suffering in the spiritual plane. I'm just fine in that regard. But when I do lose myself in those earthly desires, that's when the suffering starts. And when I noticed it yesterday and contemplated it for a few minutes, I realized that as the Buddha so aptly noted, that desire really is the root of our suffering, and it sure is for me. And sometimes that desire may take the form of the desire for more, or the desire for some temporary satisfaction, the desire for something different. But I think ultimately it's rooted in the fact that desires are a rejection of now. They're a rejection of this present moment. Because if you are spiritually at peace and in joy and in balance in the spiritual dimension, and you're in that space, it's pretty hard to be disappointed or frustrating. It's when we bring ourselves down, when our energy or our awareness or our consciousness slips down into this material world and into these other concerns like work or financial stuff, money problems, etc., etc. That's when the trouble starts, and that's based in this world. That's not based in the spiritual realm. And when I realized yesterday that that's why I was suffering, because of my unfulfilled desires, I knew where I had to turn, and that is to this book right here, as I mentioned, the Dhammapada, the sayings of the Buddha, because the Buddha is the one that so correctly noted that suffering is rooted in desires. Desires are the cause of our suffering here in this earthly plane. And I wanted to share with you a couple chapters from this, and I'll try to read this just as perfectly as it is written, because it's written so beautifully. The first one here is from chapter 12 of the Dhammapada, which is titled Yourself. And it goes like this: Love yourself and watch, today, tomorrow, always. First establish yourself in the way, then teach, and so defeat sorrow. To straighten the crooked, you must first do a harder thing: straighten yourself. You are your only master. Who else? Subdue yourself and discover your master. Willfully you have fed your own mischief. Isn't that the truth? Soon it will crush you as the diamond crushes stone. By your own folly, you will be brought as low as your worst enemy wishes. So the creeper chokes the tree. How hard it is to serve yourself. How easy to lose yourself in mischief and folly. The kashta reed dies when it bears fruit. So the fool, scorning the teachings of the awakened, spurning those who follow the law, perishes when his folly flowers. Mischief is yours. Sorrow is yours. But virtue also is yours, and purity. You are the source of all purity and all impurity. No one purifies another. Never neglect your work for another's. However great his need, your work is to discover your work, and then with all your heart to give yourself to it. That's chapter 12. Now I'm going to chapter 13, the world. Do not live in the world, in distraction and false dreams, outside the law. Arise and watch. Follow the way joyfully, through this world and beyond. Follow the way of virtue. Follow the way joyfully, through this world and on beyond. For consider the world, a bubble, a mirage. See the world as it is, and death shall overlook you. Come, consider the world, a painted chariot for kings, a trap for fools, but he who sees goes free. As the moon slips from behind a cloud and shines, so the master comes out from behind his ignorance and shines. This world is in darkness. How few have eyes to see. How few the birds who escape the net and fly to heaven. Swans rise and fly toward the sun. What magic! So do the pure conquer the armies of illusion and rise and fly. If you scoff at heaven and violate the law, if your words are lies, where will your mischief end? The fool laughs at generosity. The miser cannot enter heaven, but the master finds joy in giving, and happiness is his reward. And more, for greater than all the joys of heaven and earth, greater still than dominion over all the worlds, is the joy of reaching the stream. Finally, I wanted to share chapter 14 of the Dhammapada. This is the man who is awake. He is awake. The victory is his. He has conquered the world. How can he lose the way who is beyond the way? His eye is open. His foot is free. Who can follow after him? The world cannot reclaim him or lead him astray, nor can the poisoned net of desire hold him. He is awake. The gods watch over him. He is awake and finds joy in the stillness of meditation and in the sweetness of surrender. Hard it is to be born. Hard it is to live. Harder still to hear of the way, and hard to rise, follow, and awake. Yet the teaching is simple. Do what is right. Be pure. At the end of the way is freedom. Till then, patience. If you wound or grieve another, you have not learned detachment. Offend in neither word nor deed. Eat with moderation. Live in your heart. Seek the higher consciousness. Master yourself according to the law. This is the simple teaching of the awakened. The rain could turn to gold, and still your thirst would not be slaked. Desire is unquenchable, or it ends in tears, even in heaven. He who wishes to awake consumes his desires joyfully. In his fear, a man may shelter in mountains or in forests, in groves of sacred trees or in shrines. But how can he hide there from his sorrow? He who shelters in the way and travels with those who follow it comes to see the four great truths concerning sorrow, the beginning of sorrow, the eightfold way, and the end of sorrow. Then at last he is safe. He has shaken off sorrow. He is free. The awakened are few and hard to find. Happy is the house where a man awakes. Blessed is his birth. Blessed is the teaching of the way. Blessed is the understanding among those who follow it, and blessed is their determination. And blessed are they who revere the man who awakes and follows the way. They are free from fear. They are free. They have crossed over the river of sorrow. That's from chapter 14 of the Dhammapada. As I mentioned, one of my absolute favorite texts. Love this so much. The sayings of the Buddha. Highly recommend this. An essential part of my spiritual library for sure. So I just wanted to share that with you today. As I said yesterday, catching myself and realizing that the reason I was in a funky mood temporarily and just feeling put upon, it's because of these various unfulfilled desires related to this earthly realm, and how to overcome that, how to overcome those desires, how to keep them in their proper perspective, and how to ultimately, as I say all the time, how to balance these higher spiritual realms and our spiritual life with our daily material life down here on planet Earth, where we're in the 3D and having to deal with these disappointments and frustrations and other challenges. So I hope you enjoyed that reading from the Dhammapada. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know how this process plays out for you. I'd love to hear about your challenges in dealing with these desires and overcoming your desires and keeping things in its proper perspective. It's not easy. It is a constant struggle and a constant challenge, and we just keep going, right? Patience, as they say, patience. Something is in short supply in my world, unfortunately, but I'm learning, and I'm not going to stop. Hope you guys have a great Monday. I hope you enjoyed the Dhammapada, and I will see you again soon. Bless you all. Thank you so much for watching and listening.